From the News Channel 5 Network, this is OpenLine.
Well, good evening and welcome into Open Line. I'm Chuck Long, going to be along with you for the next hour. As always, look forward to Open Line. This is your forum. This is your chance to call in with questions, with comments. Tonight, one of our most popular guests is with us, Tim Takacs, elder law attorney. So much to talk about when we talk about this particular category. Everything from wills to living wills, estate planning, what to do in nursing homes, Medicare, Medicaid, so many topics. A lot of you I know like to call in with your questions, with your comments. Tim Takacs, it is great to have you here with us for the next hour.
Great, glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Nice to see you again.
Well, it is great to see you. Now, this is something there was a statistic that I was looking at, baby boomers.
Right.
I mean, this is amazing. There are more and more baby boomers, you know, turning 50 and 60 and that sort of thing.
That's right.
And everybody's looking whether or not it's taking care of their parents,
right,
helping their parents out, or whether it's elderly parents wondering what they should be doing.
Exactly.
So when people come to see you, what are some of the questions that they ask you? What are they there to see you for?
Well, a lot of the questions that they ask me is, and it's interesting that you say that because it's, how do I get my ducks in a row? You know, and a lot of what they do is when they come in and they'll say something like, I don't have wills, I don't have powers of attorney, or they have money or property and they're worried about going into a nursing home or something like that. And a lot of those are the same questions that we get regularly in our practice.
Right.
Like, for instance, we've had a couple of clients that came in, actually a couple of married couples that have come in this week already, both of them in their late 60s, and they're concerned about long-term care costs. And you're thinking, well, why would you want to be thinking about that? You're in your 60s, you're in good health, and in one case, one of them was already working. But then when you start talking about it in a little more detail, they'll say something like, I can think of the one that we had yesterday, you know, that he said that, well, my 96-year-old mother is in a nursing home, and she's been there for 6 years, and she spent all of her money, and all she has left at the house. And I say, well, what do you think's going to happen? And he says, well, I know that she's on Medicaid, and when she passes away, then the state is going to have a right to come in, you know, and reimburse itself out of mom's house. You know, and here they are in their mid-60s, and they're going, how do we prevent that from happening to us?
Right.
You know, so they literally have a personal experience, you know, where they literally, you know, that literally mother has basically spent all of her money, you know, several hundreds of $1,000s in some cases, you know,
right,
and they're saying, I don't want that to happen to us because I want to make sure that we can leave something to our children.
Well, and this is what you specialize in.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people don't realize it until they get into that place where they're having to look at this, and it's the great unknown. And a lot of times that's what scares us the most.
That's right.
So whether or not it's you and you're thinking about caring or looking into care for an elderly parent, whether or not you're approaching the time where you're thinking about what do I do as far as setting up, estate planning, all of these things. All you have to do is just give us a call if you have questions, comments at 737-7587. As always, is the number, and we will get to as many calls as we can. What do you find when, like these couples that came in this week, do people try to do a lot of research before they come to see you, or do they come in and basically say, tell us what to do? You
know, it's interesting that you mentioned that because almost everybody, like, comes in and they'll say, well, I'll say, well, how did you find out about us? And they say, and fortunately, we've been around long enough that somebody will tell them, well, you need to go see the lawyer in Hendersonville or whatever. You know, but often then what happens is that they've got our names from one or two places, and then they start getting online. You know, and they will start searching, and they'll say, well, I'm interested in maybe long-term care insurance, and like I'm thinking of the one case that we had yesterday where they're saying, well, should I get long-term care insurance? You know, and they start searching on that. And I often will say is that there is a lot of information out there, but information, there's a ton of it, but knowledge is how to apply that information to you.
Exactly. And that makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference, and that's what brings them into my office, because there's an overwhelming amount of information as to, long-term care needs, insurance for that, public benefits for that, what sort of estate planning should I get? Should I get a trust? If so, what kind of trust should I get? Because a lot of mistakes can be made, and they realize that once they kind of get into this I guess they call it unknown or undiscovered territory,
Right.
undiscovered country. They're going, okay, now what do we do? And then they realize that we really need an expert or somebody who has experience in this that can guide us through this process.
Right. All right, we're going to go to the phones right now. Lucy's on the line with us. Lucy, good evening. Do you have a question or comment for Tim?
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Glad to have you with us.
I actually have my mom in a nursing home, and before that decision was made, my mom was eligible for VA benefits under my dad, and we opted for turning down those VA benefits because they would have, of course, been for home care, and we were no longer able to provide home care. So we went ahead and relinquished the right to use our VA benefits, and instead went with her entitlement to state benefits, and she's in a nursing home now. Now my question is, should end of life bring a decision maybe to bring my mother home, to take care of her, to be around family and everything? Once you relinquish that right, are you no longer eligible to get those VA benefits? And you might have to go with another program, like perhaps Choices or some other type of program.
Okay, and so there's a lot there that we need to talk about so that we can kind of bring up some of the other listeners up to speed as to what she's referring to. So Lucy says that her mother was living at home, or maybe not in a nursing facility for maybe several months or years, and she is a widow of a veteran.
Yes.
And a veteran is is not just someone who served in the armed forces, but actually someone who served in active duty during wartime. So if they served for 1 day during wartime and 90 continuous
days.
She did not
remarry or anything.
Exactly.
She all of the requisites for being eligible for that were met with,
So Lucy, how long did your mother draw benefits from the VA?
She didn't. They were only available when we applied for them, because we were taking care of my mom at home. And then when we couldn't any longer was around the time when we started researching to see if maybe she was covered under my dad. It turned out that she was, but by that time we were not going to be able to continue the care due to safety issues, so we had to.
So you decided not to go through the VA process and go to the nursing home instead. And see, what happens in those situations is that, say, Lucy's mom was maybe eligible for a benefit. It's called the Veterans Pension, or in her mother's case, a widow's pension or the death pension. Now, it's not the same amount as the veteran himself or herself can draw, but probably in Lucy's case, she could have drawn up to, or her mother could have drawn up to, a little over $1,100 a month is the maximum amount. Right, and then, when they discovered that maybe $1,100 is not going to be enough, that she really, the care that she needed exceeded what the VA and her other resources was available to her, so she goes to the nursing home. Now, Lucy, is your mom, is she on Choices or Medicaid program?
Yes, I think it would be the Medicaid program.
All right, right. And now now Lucy's question was, okay, what if her mom decides, or they decide as a family, well, we don't want mom living in a nursing home at the end of her life, and let's take her at home, maybe whether it's 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or whatever, is that veteran's benefit available to her? And the short answer to that question is yes. So she could still draw the benefit. The key thing about that benefit that Lucy's referring to, and let's say she's able to draw, her mother's able to draw the $1,100 a month, is that her mother has to be spending it on care. So she can't just
So that's important to know.
It's not right. It's not just you can go home and then the VA writes you a check. She actually has to show personal care that Lucy's mom is paying for.
Right.
And the VA reimburses that.
And do you have to, is it one of those things where you need to show receipts? You need to show, I mean, how do you show
What
that?
you actually have to do is that in some cases it may be easy. Maybe you're working for, maybe you have a personal care service, a professional service that's billing her mom, and so you send a billing statement into the VA along with a statement of, why does this individual need care at home? And the VA looks at that, and because her mom is on Medicaid or the Choices program, it means that she's going to meet the VA's net worth test, because the VA, not everybody can get the VA pension. You actually have to have a certain minimum number of assets in order to qualify for that. So the VA has criteria for that as well.
All right.
So at some point, if she goes home, she could get the VA benefit. I know we probably need a break right now, and if you'd like, I would love to continue on, and we'll talk about about how she can maybe stay on Choices when she goes home.
Okay, we will do that. So, Lucy, if you would stay on hold with us, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, though, more on elder law. So come on back with us on Open Line.